All right. We're trying again. Let me just, instead of opening in another browser, I'm just going to open here. If you're here, let me know. Oh my goodness gracious. And I don't think I can mute. Okay, I don't think I can mute. Okay, Connie was here. But let's see. It shows I'm, oh, and can you see me too? And like, is it moving, Jerry? It's working. Okay. What was that about? That's just weird. Oh my goodness. That's just so frustrating. So I'll just start all over. If you got that little 15-minute thing that happened that wasn't working, apologies for that. I haven't done anything different. Before I opened OBS Studio, I did have to go in and just recreate a stream right quick in YouTube Studio. If you don't stream, maybe you don't know what that means, but and I think it's still possible to just stream from OBS, like a pop-up thing, and you don't have to have something already scheduled. But I just went in and created another one and showed that it was going to start, 2 minutes from whenever I was creating it again. And then I looked at my task manager before I opened OBS Studio to make sure all that stuff that runs in the background that doesn't need to be running was closed, those tasks were ended, just so didn't have system resources going to things that were going to potentially cause the kind of trouble that we just had when I tried to do this stream 25 minutes ago. So I had some music going again in the background like I tried to do last weekend. I'm not going to do that in case that was part of what it was. I mean, I had the music going last week too, but I had forgotten to unmute the desktop audio mic on OBS Studio, so that's why nobody could hear it. But I'm just not even going to worry about it. Hey, Bud Files, thanks for being here. Thank you to those that are here watching live. Thank you to those that might watch after the stream ends, and you're part of the rewatch crew. Hey, oh my gosh, gather together. Wow. I have seen some shorts and videos going up from you guys every now and then, so it's nice to know that you've mastered the 4 children universe so that you can still get back to YouTubing. I have no idea how anybody does YouTube with little kids at home. Let me just tell you that. I had 4 kids in 5 years, and the laundry alone was a full-time job. I cannot believe how much laundry we generated. So I can't in a million. And I mean, I worked full-time for, part of their childhood, but they stayed with their granny, so I didn't have to feel bad necessarily about leaving them, but there was still all the laundry to do. How in the world would I have ever had time to go and film and edit and upload videos? So, extra kudos and gold stars to any of the parents out there that are YouTubing and actually producing things that are meaningful and enjoyable and entertaining and inspirational for us, because I don't know that I'm even doing that, and I just have dogs around here. So Erica, hey, thanks for stopping in. Everyone that's here, I'm so glad you're here. Is the secret to have a botched stream and then have to start it up again so that people know I'm going live? I still don't know what that was about. And I'm really curious. I still would love to open a browser and see what it looks like, to see if the settings now that I have on OBS, the output settings, really are what I need. So I don't know if this other window, this browser, is going to be muted or not. So let me mute that. Okay, it's already muted. And I'm going to just open this so I can look at it. Of course, it's going to play a commercial. That was part of my objective behind having some music play at the beginning, was to give people time that don't have YouTube Premium to get through some commercials without having to miss a lot of the stream. I mean, I don't know how long I should give for the commercials to finish. Hey, Lee at First Floor Audio is here, guys. Oh, so there's some great channels in the chat today, and I really encourage you to go stop by and say hello and introduce yourselves if you're not already familiar with those channels. First Floor Audio, Butler Family Farm, Gather Together Homestead. These are folks that I met at the very beginning of my YouTube journey. So I started my channel in March of 2021, and a lot of these people I met around that time. So they are like family to me and have coached me and guided me and encouraged me and inspired me, and all the things I just talked about that some of you parents are managing to do, even with a bunch of little kids at home. Anyway, so all right, so I've got that window open so I can keep an eye on what it looks like if it starts looking wonky on my end. But again, back to life at the ranch today. Happy Friday. We have amazingly beautiful weather today. The back door is open so the dogs can let themselves in and out, which is always a plus. Although they are pretty conditioned now to just find a spot and lie down when I'm streaming. So Gucci's laying down behind me. Serena I think knows that Daddy's on his way home. So she's hanging out near the dining room window, I guess, waiting till she hears the car door slam or something so she can bark. So be prepared for that because she'll bark. As soon as she realizes someone is here, I guess the three boys are outside. So we've got our boys, Boone and Bear, and then our boarder, Kobe, is here. He'll go home on Monday sometime. Potentially go home on Monday sometime. His parents, his mom is out of the country on vacation, and so we always know there's a possibility that there could be weather delays or other things that mean flights have to be rescheduled or canceled or all of the above. So he's expected to go home on Monday. Kobe, hey, there he is. Were you outside with your brothers? Your temporary brothers? He's just the best dog, y'all. And so I think later today when Richard's home so that he can help monitor things too, Kobe wants so badly to spend time with the cats. And he's, like they've been nose to nose and sniffing each other and stuff just through the little door that we keep closed when we have guest dogs here that haven't been around cats a lot. His mom rescued him, adopted him from one of the shelters in the area, maybe a year or so ago. And this is his fourth time to stay with us, and he's always been super curious about the cats because they come to the door when they know there are other animals here, new dogs here, and they just cry and cry, Brutus in particular, because he wants to meet everyone. He's like in charge. He's like in charge of the house. He's in charge of the dogs. He's in charge of us. He's in charge of the cats. And so I know it stresses him a little bit when he doesn't have the opportunity to make assessments and give his seal of approval when we have new guests here. So he and Kobe have spent time through that door together. But for sure, when I'm home alone, and I don't think there'd be a problem with him, but when I'm home alone and there are multiple extra dogs here, I just don't like to take any chances because that's not fair. That's not fair to the cats for sure. The other ones aren't as demanding about meeting the new dogs. They're curious, and when they see that Brutus has signed off on someone, then they're okay to come around them. And we are fortunate to have, there are probably 5 long-time repeat boarders that have stayed with us that even though their families either knew that they had never been around a cat for whatever reason, maybe they adopted them as puppies and they've never had a cat, or they rescued or adopted them from a shelter and there was just no information in their history about whether they had been around cats or not. We have had 4 or 5 boarders, a couple of them that are, still board with us from time to time, that they just do so beautifully with the cats that the cats can be out. Everybody can mix and match for the whole time that the dogs are here visiting. But often, especially now, because it's still spring break time, and that means we're typically double or triple booked. Now, our rule is we will only take up to 3 dogs. We did have a family with 4 dogs that left their dogs here for a couple of weeks last summer. That was 3 little Cavapoos and then their uncle, who was a big golden doodle. and I don't remember. Then the cats were out. I do remember because I have video of the little dogs. So Brutus was bigger than those Cavapoos. That's to his advantage because I think when new dogs meet him, if they're not familiar with cats or maybe they've even had an issue not being friendly with cats, he's big enough that I think it kind of confuses them, and they look at him and think, well, that can't be a cat because that's bigger than a cat. And he's so comfortable around the dogs because we rescued him when he was 3.5 weeks old, had to syringe feed him every 2 or 3 hours for the first 5 weeks or so that he was here, until he could eat kitten food and take care of himself a little bit more. But from that time that he was a little tiny baby, he slept with the dogs and they groomed him, and he's just really comfortable around dogs, particularly big dogs, because he had 3 German Shepherd dogs to raise him. So that's neither here nor there. What a long story just to tell you what's going on here at the ranch, because that's stuff that's going on all the time. I do know that we're going to go get some Mexican food tonight after Richard gets home and the stream is over. So I haven't eaten all day so that I have plenty of room for Mexican food. And what else might be happening? Thank goodness there's not a whole lot else happening. Oh, so I don't know if I've already said this in this stream or if I had just said it in the one that didn't work right that I had to end to start over. But if you missed my 4-part premiere of Forgotten Favorites, sharing some old TV shows from the 60s and 70s from when I was a little girl, I think the most current one ended like in 1978, so I would have been about 16. I really wanted to do a series that was just old forgotten TV shows through like the 2000s, but I came across so many that I remembered that I liked that I forgot I remembered, and that's kind of the concept I'm working from. So I have some other categories of stuff that I forgot I remembered, and you'll be seeing some of that coming up too. But there were so many just from the 60s and 70s. I thought, okay, we're just gonna focus on that. We're just gonna focus on way back in the day. Some that even started before we even had a television in my house. But it turned into, I think, a really fun series. It's been well received on YouTube. I'm really happy at the views it's getting, and I encourage you to check it out just to support the channel, and because I'd love for you to let me know how many of the shows I featured are shows that you watched or that you liked, and let me know about other shows that I didn't include on the list because there were just too many. But today I've got another batch of honorable mentions that didn't quite make the cut for including in that video series, partly because it was already so long. It's 4 videos. They're each between 40 and 45 minutes long. So I couldn't do them all in one video. I would never expect any of you to sit through a 3.5-hour premiere or even a 3.5-hour live stream unless it was really some special occasion. But it worked out great, I think, to break it up after I got the whole thing recorded, to just break it up, and then I would insert little outros, after I found a stopping point for each segment of it. But check that out, and then we'll be looking at some of the ones that I didn't include for various reasons. And of course there were others that were on the list that I could not show at all because of copyright issues, like the video would be blocked. And then I had to find some creative ways around some other copyright issues. So pretty much everything you see in them, there was a copyright issue. So for some of them I could show you the opening to the show, the intro to the show, but I would have to dub different music to it. I couldn't play the music because the audio was copyrighted, and it would mean my video would get blocked. For others, I could play the music, but I couldn't show you the video. So I would just have to have like a screenshot, of the title screen or whatever. Anyway, you'll see that when you get to it. But today's videos, I've already uploaded all of them to YouTube to double check and make sure that I'm not going to get my stream shut down. Wouldn't that be ironic after what I just went through trying to start this stream earlier? I made sure that none of them were going to result in some kind of strike or shutdown. So we're going to look at those in a little bit. And then we'll spin the wheel a couple of times like we've been doing. Let's look at chat. Still haven't figured out now how to get the chat comments to show up on the screen. And I really want to do that because I know not everybody will understand if I respond to something that happens in the chat. They won't know what I'm talking about. And when I can, I try to say something like, okay, Erica said, thinking about tacos for tonight, but haven't gone out to Mexican since we moved from Arizona. Okay? So she's saying that because I had said that Richard already told me we were going to go out for Mexican food this evening after he gets home and the stream ends. So I'll figure that out someday. But let me now. So now I'm going to have to open a window to get the wheel up for you. And then hope that it's going to be lined up right. But let me hide the ads and hide the stuff and see what happens. I don't know if when I leave, see that, look at that, it puts an ad now right over the wheel. Skip ad. I told it to close ads, but it's not cooperating, and that's new. Close ads. I had already told it to close the ads, but it decided to put an ad there anyway. So let's see. And as soon as I closed an ad, another one popped up. We're just going to have to see what happens here. What is this one? Is this it? Okay, that's it. So I just got to get it lined up again. Okay, what is happening there? Oh, what is that? It's like it's got two... Okay, so I think I need to move this whole thing over. Look at the ads. What is that about? Okay, I don't want this. I want this. And maybe I need to make this a little bit bigger. Wow. Okay, so I don't know how to get around the ads. Let's see if I can just make this wheel a little bigger. And maybe it just has to do with the fact that the ads... Okay, that might work right there, huh? I'm not going to worry about y'all seeing that bar, that customize and all that bar, because I just don't want to have to look at the ad that it's putting on top of the wheel because I have it sized like I have it sized. I wonder if I do a full screen. Can you do a full screen, though, when it's... No. Okay. Okay, we'll make it work. Let me make sure I'm not missing. Yeah, so Lee, I had StreamYard for a long time, and then when I stopped streaming, I canceled my StreamYard account, and now to go in even at the same level, which was like the lowest level that wasn't free, the price has almost doubled, and I'm just not in a position to pay that just to stream once a week, maybe twice a week if I'm going to start another series of live streams. So I've said that I may have to go to a paid service at some point, but it's not going to be right now. All right, but let's spin the wheel, see what we get. It's kind of chopped off, but we'll make it work, right? Oh, we got a did you know? Oh, and now I've got to find that screen again, so hang on. Let me find that screen. I thought this was neat. And it's more of a mysteries thing. I don't know if I still have that on the wheel. But, oh, here we go. History. And then I had to close everything, so that's why I'm having to open it again. Okay, so let's look at this. Let's put this right here. And then let's see if we can make that smaller again so it'll fit a little better. Although, hopefully it's not going to be ads over that too. I don't understand why I seem to have duplicate windows. What is that about? And I got to figure out how to... Well, I don't know how to do this. Okay, there. Y'all can see that, right? Oh, I guess I could look at that other window. Where's that other thing I had up? All right, it's behind. You know, there's always a lag. But here we go. So I know it's a did you know, but I thought this kind of falls in the did you know category. So We'll use that for our Did You Know. And then if we get the, oh, well, it starts with number two. Oh, okay, I see. Well, let's just look at this one. The Great Molasses Flood. A 25-foot high wave of molasses surged through Boston's North End, demolishing buildings, tipping streetcars, and taking the lives of 21 people. The molasses was so thick and sticky that it acted like quicksand. It took months for cleanup crews to deal with the devastation, using salt water to wash away the mess. That happened in 1919. So did you know that? I had not heard that story. Oh, is your yes that you did know that story, Jerry? Oh, let me move this up a little bit so I can see better. Okay. So let's spin our wheel again. Oh, and I got to make it big, don't I? Oh, this is so frustrating. Oh, well, first I got to clear that. Oh, that's right. I didn't want the ad there. Oh, that is so annoying. Close ads. I want y'all to be able to see the wheel. So now every time I do this, I'm going to have to resize it. Oh, that is so frustrating. Okay, let's do that. We get the ad down there in the corner where we don't have to worry about it. And it's kind of oblong looking, isn't it? All because of Boston baked beans. All that molasses could be. Oh, could be a sweet way to go, says Jerry. Yep. See, those are comments I'd love to put on the screen. Oh, games and trivia. But I don't want to do games and trivia now. I want to do Bandle. I want to do Bandle every time we do a live stream because I just think that's so much fun. I hope you guys have enjoyed that. So we're going to close that. Maybe I'll take that off of there when it comes up again, and I'll just know that we're going to do Bandle. I don't feel like those other games, the AARP page that has all the fun games on it. I think those are great for playing by myself, but I don't think they're real good for doing in a live stream. So let's see what we get here. I did add a new, a History's Mysteries. I guess we can look at that same page. Let's look at that same page, History's Mysteries, and see what the next one is. Well, let's see what the first one was. Number one was the Bat Bomb Experience. That happened in the 1940s. I can already tell you I have no idea. I have no idea what that means. This batty idea involved cooling bats armed with napalm into hibernation and setting them with timers, all with the hope they would start fires in inaccessible places and wreak havoc on Japan's largely wood and paper cities. That's nefarious, isn't it? During one test, the bats set fire to an airbase when they roosted under a fuel tank and ignited the test range. Best laid plans, right? How sad for the bats! Who thinks this stuff up? I wish it would tell us who thought that stuff up. I mean, obviously I'm thinking it was military, right? If they wanted to wreak havoc on another country. Because this does say that this is American, lost history or forgotten history or something. Hey, David, thanks for coming back. I think the stream is working this time. All right, let's go back to our wheel again. Look at that. I got to keep shifting it around. Spin this one more time. What am I doing? I kind of already told you because we still have borders here. There are always borders here lately. We do have a break. We do have a break coming up. Again, so Kobe goes home on Monday. I'm going to look at my calendar. Kobe goes home on Monday. Oh, there it is. He goes home on Monday. Gucci will probably be here Monday and Tuesday because those are that's her regular overnight is Monday night overnight. And then our girl Harley that I think you guys saw on the stream last week, she will be here from the 26th to the 29th. And then Junebug that I know you guys have met a time or two when I've done a stream because she's been here many times. Then she'll be here the 29th. Oh, the 27th through the 30th. So a little bit of overlap there. And Gucci is usually here again on Thursdays and Fridays, or Fridays and Saturdays. So it won't seem like as many dogs. And I'll just tell you now, there really are differences in boys and girls, whatever species we're talking about. I'm not trying to push any politically correct, social, whatever buttons, but they really are just different, okay? I had 2 boys and 2 girls of my own, human boys and girls. I know a lot of that because of that. We've got girl animals and boy animals, and it's always interesting to me that when we have more girl visitor dogs, more girls boarding with us, it's much calmer and quieter here. Always. I could have 6 girls here in addition to our 3 dogs, 2 boys and a girl, and it would be quieter and calmer than when I have 1 extra boy or a couple of extra boys and then our 3 dogs. And Gucci, I should include Gucci in our dogs because she's here so much, and she's been boarding with us. It'll be 3 years in October. So she's really like part of the family, and she knows the rules, and she's a good girl, and she's not noisy. But the boys, I don't know. I don't know what, and it doesn't matter the breed. So we tend to get a lot of German Shepherd dogs here because our boarding business started as an offshoot of all the fostering that we've done for Good Shepherd Rescue, and dogs that had been adopted from us, their families would reach out in, the months and years afterward to ask if we would board their dogs for them. So it was just a here and there thing initially, but then word spread, and even dogs that were not fostered here began to stay with us, and then those people would tell their friends at church and work and in their neighborhood, and so it's grown into all kinds of dogs, all different breeds and ages and sizes and personalities. But regardless the breed, now the German Shepherds I feel like are a little more inclined. Those boys are a little more inclined to be reactive, I guess. If they hear something or see something, oh, good gravy. One of the most exciting times for our dogs ever, and I can't remember who was boarding with us, but we had dogs boarding with us in addition to our own dogs, and somehow Cabo and Delilah got through the gate that leads from the backyard to the paddock. It's got one of those I don't know how to describe it. It has like a sliding mechanism that you slide it down and turn it, and it holds on to the other part of the fence to keep the fence from opening. But it either didn't get pushed down all the way, or something happened and they got into the backyard. And I think I was taking a bath, so I was doing something where I wasn't where I could watch. And it was dogs that had been here enough times that I don't worry if I, need to take a shower while somebody's here, because I do have to take a shower every now and then. And the boys started going berserk. So I could hear them barking and whining and jumping at the back door. We've got blinds, wooden blinds on the back door. So I hurried up and I got out of the bathtub. There are Cabo and Delilah, at Six Flags, because there's lots of grass in the backyard that hasn't all been chewed up already, because they don't get to be in the backyard very often. And the boys were going bananas. The girls were just sitting like, what is the deal? I came out of the bathroom and the girls look at me like, what? I don't know what's happening. The boys are just being like this, like usual. So looking at the chat, David, I don't know what the problem with the stream was. I think I probably just had some weird glitchy thing going on with my computer in general, and it was making it hard for OBS to do what it needed to do. So I just restarted the computer and then went into my task manager to make sure there was nothing else running that shouldn't be running, and then started OBS again, and everything is fine. And Erica says males tend to be more competitive and more reactive. It is so true. So think about it. That's true again, regardless the species and regardless the breed of animal. Yes, that's true. I see it here firsthand. Again, my own boys. So neither of my girls ever had standing appointments at the minor emergency center on a weekend night like my son Gerald did. And I played softball for a long time, and we would take the kids to go play softball. And I don't remember either of the girls ever getting hurt playing softball, but I lost count of how many times the boys would get hurt playing softball because they're climbing around on things and they're chasing after each other and they're just being wild and reactive. And I know I've heard a statistic before that there are more male babies, humans, born. Overall, in the history of the world, there have been and are more male babies born, but there are fewer males on Earth, due in large part to the fact that they can be so wild and reactive and, what other word did you use, competitive, that they die. They die. You know, more car crashes or motorcycle wrecks or whatever because they're doing something reckless and irresponsible. Not that women can't be reckless and irresponsible. Don't go doing some kind of political correct thing with me. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying overall in the history of humankind, men are more inclined to die from doing stupid stuff. And if you watch any of the fail videos and stuff on YouTube, you know, the skateboard stuff. Again, girls skateboard too. I get it. I'm not a feminist, so this is never going to be about me saying women can do it all and we should do it all too. Hey, I feel like a big part of the problem in the world today is that, and I'm not saying I want to go back. What a catch-22. But I think the roles are so blurry now, and I know it was not good back in the day when women were just supposed to put up or shut up. But you didn't have kids getting shot up in their schools, and just some of the tragic things that we see in the news on at least a weekly basis now, where someone has just gone off the deep end and mass murdered people or whatever. You didn't see that. You didn't see that back in the day when women stayed home and raised their children and the men went to work and made a good living to support their families. I'm sure it happened every now and then. I wasn't around before 1962 to know. But if you just look at history, there's such a clear demarcation line. I want to say, you know, by the late 70s for sure, you started seeing some of the stories of just stuff that even now it's unbelievable, even though it seems to be unbelievably common. Okay, so I don't know what that had to do with anything, except that my point is today's social rhetoric lesson, is it rhetoric? Today's social education lesson, I don't know, is that males and females are different. Hate on me all you want. You're not going to change my mind. I'm not saying we shouldn't be paid equally for the same work. I'm not saying we shouldn't be, allowed to vote and all the things that men. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. And I'm not saying that either sex should be considered superior or inferior to the other, because they're different. It's apples and oranges. I'm getting my nervous rash now talking about that. So I don't want to talk about that anymore. And I don't know. Oh, the what am I doing just had to do with the dogs boarding and how it's just really interesting but very frustrating to me to see how the boys just take so much more of my energy because I have to manage them more. Now, Kobe, he's about 5 years old, 5 or 6 years old, I think. And that's just a guesstimate because his mom, again, adopted him about a year ago. So he was already an adult. And when you don't know their stories, you just kind of have to go by their teeth and their size and other things that start showing up when dogs get older. And so he's a good boy. He's pretty laid back. He's not, he's not wild and crazy like my boys can be. He's a great howler, though. He's a husky German Shepherd, so you know he's got good howling genes. Let's see. I see some great comments in the chat here. Okay, first, Jerry says, not here. Daisy starts most here. which I'm thinking she's just a wild child, y'all. She was a wild child when she was our foster, and she's very talkative. I think Jerry and I have both decided she must have some husky or something in her, because she's sassy and she talks back and she starts conversations even, and she's just very, very talkative. So yeah, we saw the comment from Erica that males tend to be more competitive and more reactive. Erica says my Mustang cross would open all kinds of latches. Oh yeah, the geese here? I don't know. I don't know now that I think about it, because I'm not watching when it happens. But the geese are kind of naughty because they're so smart and curious that same thing here. I have to double zip tie, cable tie things if I want them to stay together, because they can undo any kind of a knot and open latches and things, and just for the sake of doing it. So, but I don't know if it's the boys more than the girls or not with the geese. I've always thought it was just geese in general. And in the goose world, I can tell you, in the duck world, the females are louder. They have just a louder sound. Male ducks do not quack. There's your nature tidbit for today. They don't quack. But they don't quack the sound like you hear a female duck do. That's regardless of what duck species it is. So the females are louder in the duck world is what I'm getting at. But in the goose world, it's the opposite. Even though they're all kind of noisy, the males are more vocal. Their voices sound the same, but the males are a little bit more vocal. So let's go back here. And then Erica says there are always exceptions. So yes, there are always exceptions. And we won't get into biological stuff now. I know there are aberrations, and I'm not in charge of how things happen, that probably sounds pretty haughty, because the other part of that is if I was in charge of where things happen, there would never be, blended, okay. So I'm getting off on another thing I really don't want to talk about today, because my point is still that males and females are different. And then Jerry said, more males are lost to war than women. Yes. And so we won't talk about war. Unfortunately, that's just the world we live in. But I have seen more than one video where someone's being interviewed, a woman is being interviewed, and she's a feminist. She identifies as a feminist and believes that women should do everything men do, should be allowed to do everything men do. And then when the question of, war comes up, one of the recent ones I saw, this feminist said, well, women should be allowed to be in the military, but they shouldn't have to go to war. They shouldn't have to go to the battlefield. Now, wait a minute. So are you different or not? You want to do all the same things or not? That's called having your cake and eating it too, and I don't support that. So I guess, and her point, to sum it up, was if a woman wants to go in the military and she wants to be a secretary on the base, and I know we need those positions, I'm not saying, but a man should be able to do that too. But, sweetheart, I don't think it works that way. You don't get to enlist in the military and say, well, I want to be in the Marine Corps, but only if I'm going to have an office job the whole time. I just want to sign up for the office jobs. I just want to sign up for the janitorial work, at the barracks. So these people that just go on and on and on about how we're not different, men and women are not different, and we should do all the same things, and we should be allowed to do all the same things. But not if it means I have to go carry a gun or shoot someone or potentially get shot. Nope. Oh, hypocrisy. Double standards. I don't support that at all. More males lost to war than women. Female praying mantis are very aggressive, especially, well, I'll just stop there. Yes, so you guys know I'm a bug lover. And, mantises don't live very long anyway, males or females. And it's ironic that, their purpose, as they see it, is to procreate. Their purpose is to further their species and ensure the continuation of their species. That's it. So obviously part of that is they've got to eat and, hunt for food and stuff because they have to be alive enough to procreate. So it's not even a big deal to species where the male then is consumed by the female after accomplishing his mission. And then again, then the female doesn't live very much longer after that anyway. So Wow, how ironic is that? Okay, and then Lee says female spiders eat the males after, well, again, same scenario. And if you didn't know this, maybe we'll do a bug show one time. I might get Kevin, the all bugs go to Kevin. He was on the show one day last year, even showed us his brown recluses. He has pet brown recluses. I think the people that watched that stream really did enjoy that stream, even though a lot of them, you couldn't pay them $1 million to go and interact with any of those bugs. But Kevin is amazing. He knows so much about so much in the entomology world. So maybe we'll have him come in sometime and bring us some specimens. But my point was going to be that in the spider world, I mean, it's true of mantises too. The females are larger. So often when I find a spider web here, because I got to go touch on everything and hold everything that I know is safe to hold and touch, and I will sometimes see males in the web with the female, and the female will be this big, and then the male is like the tip of my pinky finger. So when you consider that the females, consume the males, it's maybe like a 1 or 2 bites thing. It's not even a lot of work for them. I'm still waiting for our RGOP Aranches to show up again. It's a little late, early in the season for that, or early in the year for that, but they're becoming some of my favorite spiders. Loss of family, no matter which parent stayed home, is a detriment to kids. They aren't being raised anymore. Amen. Amen. So, again, I know you haven't all watched the Forgotten Favorites series that premiered Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, that just passed. But one of the things that was interesting to me is there were a couple of shows on my list. One of them was a little bit different, but The Rifleman, the old show The Rifleman that starred Chuck Connors, and don't ask me what happened to the video that went with that. So while that's playing on the screen, you can hear the intro, the music, and hear the gun shooting and hear the announcer say, "The Rifleman." But the video didn't show. So I don't know what I might have done. And it was not one that I was not allowed to show. But that show was the first time in a TV show that a single parent had been shown raising a child. Because McCain had a son. His wife died, and then he was raising his son. And I thought, wow. You don't even think about that now. It's so common for single parents to parent. I think it's hard. And I know, from personal experience, if you don't have role models, if you don't have daily interactions and experiences and learning opportunities with people of each sex, there are things you miss out on. I just, you can't grow up. I know there have been a lot of only children that go on to do amazing things. I don't know that it's necessarily a detriment to them, but socially, I wonder if there are delays or if there are shortcomings because they didn't grow up, with siblings. Watching these eagle nests that I watch, oh my gosh, I'm so close to leaving one of the pages that I've been a member of for a long time because it is the most melodramatic. People just come on and, like there's a new piece of fuzz in the nest and people are freaking out because, what if it's a part of an animal? I don't know. It's so bizarre sometimes. And I don't feel like the leadership at that page really does much at all to kind of curb it. Like, I don't see them come in enough and say, hey, that's nothing to worry about. It's, and the Eagles will take care of it. I don't see that enough. And people they get rude because another person might come in and say, oh, I don't think it's anything to worry about. So, in one of the eagle nests I've been watching, and this is the first time I've seen this happen, these parents had one egg. It hatched. They've been raising their little baby. He's about 8 weeks old now. And then a week or so ago, this other eaglet that looks to be 3 weeks older just shows up, just flies into the nest. So I'm guessing that eaglet, well, it has to be a little bit older than that. They usually fledge around 12 weeks. So that eaglet's probably 11 or 12 weeks old. And I'm guessing he fledged his nest and and then lost his way and couldn't get back, or something happened to his parents. The parents may have passed away, or something happened. And so this little eaglet, I'm thinking, kudos, little eaglet. Look at this. You found a nice family to live with. And so at first, everybody just thought, well, he just was flying over. He saw food in the nest. He stopped down and ate, because that's what he did. But the parents are feeding it, and now it's been there like a week, and there are still people on this page that they're freaking out. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, if this little eaglet had siblings, how would he survive? So my point was that there are a lot of things that even animals learn by having family members. By having eaglets that have siblings, they develop survival skills even faster, and they become more proficient at securing food and finding shelter and all those things when they kind of have to duke it out, because they're not the only ones in the family. And so, of course, after like 4 or 5 days of that eaglet living in that nest, now those eaglets cuddle together and sleep together and play, and it's like they were always together. But the freaking out continues at the pace. It's just really disappointing. A lot of the people that are doing it, it's like that's the first nest they've ever watched. They're brand new to Eagle Cams and brand new to that Facebook page. So I know it's just ignorance on their part, but don't tell them that. Don't say, that it's ignorance, which means you just don't know. You don't have knowledge about the thing you're talking about. That's what ignorance means. I know people use that differently, but that's what it really means. So, where was I going? Oh, let's get back to the list. So, talk about kids not being raised anymore. And that's exactly it. Again, so, early 70s, the women's movement, right? Feminism. Women all go back to work, and they leave their kids at the daycare place. Does anybody but me not see the connection between the deterioration of youth as far as their ability to connect with others and not be inclined to shoot up their schools? I'll do a little more research, but I don't know that there was a story in history of a kid going into a church or a school or a whatever and shooting people just to shoot people because they were whatever they were, depressed or mentally ill or whatever they were, until after kids had spent however many years in daycare because all the moms went back to work. Okay, that's a whole nother show. Let's see. Okay, and then after, so lots of feminine, and then Erica said, Kit, my male Goffin's cockatoo is an escape artist. Oh yeah, we've had plenty of dogs here that we really we've got places on the fence, like where we've got another piece of fence just because we don't want them digging out. It's been a while since any of them were here, but we don't take any chances. And Erica didn't enlist because she couldn't train for a pilot or K-9 handler at the time that she was of age to enlist. Well, I don't know, y'all. After that whole, where was that? Ontario? Where was that? Canada, right? Was it a flight in Canada where it's like all female crew, cabin crew? And I don't know that I've heard the latest assessment of what happened, but I know early on from, aviation experts and other pilots, they were saying, that plane came in way too fast, and there were things that they didn't do that they should have done, particularly given that it was like there was a lot of wind shear or whatever conditions were present at the time. They didn't do that. They just came in like it was a regular day. It's like people that don't know how to drive on the snow or the ice or when it's raining, and they just drive like it's a regular day. And then they're surprised because when they hit the brake, they've got to slide an extra 50 feet before they can stop because the ground is slippery or wet or all of the above. And that's the impression I got. It was that like these pilots who had been tweeting very sexist things about, don't need men in the cockpit or whatever. I'm really just making up because that's the gist of what I remember perceiving the tweets to be about. That, they wanted a world where it was just women that flew planes. And I'm thinking, sweetheart, I don't know if you're cut out for this work now after what just happened. So, Let's see. Some bird species, two females are bigger, like raptors. Again, eagle's a great example of that. Connie, hey Connie. I'm behind in the chat, y'all. And Erica doesn't tolerate drama well, so I know you're talking about that Facebook thing. It's just, it gets really, it just zaps the energy out of you when you've got to go and read 6 people posting in a row. You know, they put their picture there and they're mad because the American Eagle Foundation or something, they need to go up there and get that fuzz out of the nest. Or, oh my gosh, do people not understand that these wildlife cams are giving us a glimpse into what happens all over the world every minute of every day that we can't see? There's no camera. Do people not understand that every day some of the things that we see on these cameras is repeating itself over and over, and there's nothing that can be done about it? We're only looking at it. The cameras aren't put there so that someone can get on a high horse and gripe because no one is intervening when nature's happening. Oh, that's such a soapbox for me. So don't tolerate drama. And Erica says, I could say a lot there. I could say a lot there regarding raising kids, family, community, society in general, but I'll be nice. Oh yeah, again, I just feel like I've already started preaching. And then there are just some people that are stupid. Y'all, I consider myself a people person, and I feel very fortunate that I have people that come to my show, my live stream, and they make comments that I don't have to bite my tongue about. Not that someone would not be invited to come in and disagree or have a different opinion, not that, but yeah, I have a real hard time with just stupidity. And to me, it's stupid. So the people, again, like the feminist girl that was being interviewed in some video I watched recently, who, she wants to enlist and she should be able to enlist, but only if it means she would not have to go to war, only if it means that she could just do administrative stuff. And, again, so I know you can go to Indeed.com or whatever, Monster.com, and you'll see the military will have listings there sometimes. They are looking for administrative personnel. Like, you don't have to enlist for that. You go apply to work in the, the whatever office. But that's not what that girl meant. That girl wanted my impression was she wanted the prestige and honor, because to me there should be prestige and honor that goes with serving in the military, period, bottom line. Whatever your reason is for doing it. I've seen that meme a time or two that, a soldier or a Marine, Marines are not soldiers. There's your other social lesson for today. So don't call a Marine a soldier. They're not soldiers. A soldier or a Marine, in essence, at some point signs a blank check to America that can be cashed in for up to and including their lives. Well, not everybody's cut out for that. I was not cut out for that. I admit it. It makes me that much more grateful for the people that are willing and able to do it. I know Jerry is a veteran. I don't know if we have any other veterans here. So that is very near and dear to my heart. And I feel like, a civil servant. So they can apply for a civil servant. But this girl, she wanted to be a soldier. Okay? She wanted to be known as a soldier or Marine or whatever it was she wanted to do. But not if they're going to send me to, Afghanistan or Syria or wherever there might be a war happening. The Navy's the same way. So, wow, I feel like I got off track. When all I was going to tell you is what I'm doing, which is still boarding dogs. Still boarding dogs. There's probably something else going on, but I feel like I'm so busy sometimes I don't even know what else I might be doing. I cleaned the turtle tank filters a couple days ago. We bought a third submersible pump and filter because turtles are really messy. And as Yancey's gotten older, and I think now, so she went through a phase where she would not eat greens. Turtles need to eat greens. They need to eat greens every day. So lettuce and, dandelion greens and zucchini and green beans and stuff. They need to eat greens to stay healthy and live a long time. But she went through a little finicky phase. So she would eat greens when she was a baby until she was maybe 2 years old. And then for like 2 years, she would not eat greens. I tried all kinds of things. She would not eat greens. And then, 2 or 3 years ago, she decided, I would keep offering them, hoping she would start eating them again, and she wouldn't eat them. And that really makes a messy tank when you've got broken down, lettuce dissolved and floating around in the tank. But she has gotten back to eating greens, but I think it means more input, more output. So it feels like it's been a little harder to keep her tank clean lately. So we bought a third submersible filter. Each of these filters is supposed to treat a 60-gallon tank, I think. Her tank, it's a 120-gallon tank, but we only have maybe 85 gallons of water in it because she's got a big basking dock that takes up part of it. And it's made a huge difference for her, but I still had to do all the maintenance and cleaning. It's just been maintenance cleaning week. Yesterday's video was about me cleaning the cooling fan in my desktop computer that I'm using to come to you live during the stream today. So watch that for me. And let me get back to chat. This is why I wish I could put the chat on the screen. I guess I could figure out a way to... Oh, look, I could do that, couldn't I? Y'all can see the chat, right? So we can do that. I don't know how to make that bigger. Oh, I can make this bigger, can I? Okay, yeah. All right. Oh, but I got to get this other thing out of the way. Where were we in the chat? Okay. Common sense isn't common anymore. Yeah. There are some people just stupid. Okay, Butler, very true. Can't argue with dumb. People don't think anymore. They let their phone do all the thinking. Yeah. Well, that's another, okay, there's another interesting contributing factor to the decline of humanity and the deterioration of youth is that I think it's probably safe to say that the majority of relationships, not just kids, people in general, the majority of relationships now that people have are virtual relationships. I definitely feel like I spend more time with and know more people through this channel, for example, than people in the real world that I spend time with. Now, part of that is that we don't get out much. We're very tied down because we have a lot of animals. I'm not complaining. That's a fantasy of mine to be living this life. But we don't socialize like I did back in the day. Back in the day, we did parties with people, and we would do progressive dinners and go have game nights at other people's houses. And now we go out to eat, go get our Mexican food at the little cheap hole-in-the-wall place once or twice a week, on a good week or on a week when that's possible. But I feel like so many of my relationships are people that I know online. Now, the German Shepherd Rescue, I will say that I have made some great friendships, real-life friendships, through that. But even that still, that can't be like 100% of my life or my time. So I don't see those people regularly. We're just connected through the rescue. And then when we see each other, it's definitely, there's a relationship there, friendships there. Let's see. People don't think anymore. The Navy's the same way, and having fun doing it. Let's see. Having fun doing it refers to there are some people that are just stupid and having fun doing it. Is that what that goes together? It looks like that was the most recent comment. Oh yeah, I'm sure. And again, all these guys that are doing their crazy motorcycle stuff and car racing and skateboard tricks that end up hurting or killing themselves. I'm sure they were having a blast up until it ended. Okay. Rabbit holes. More like rabbit warrens these days. Many holes and tunnels. Connie wasn't in the chat at the doctor's appointment. Oh, I hope it was a good visit at the doctor. Erica also struggles with warrens. And Erica's box turtle goes in phases. Will eat pellets or bugs or veggies and fruits. Yeah. I mean, now, Yancy would eat fruit every day if I would give her fruit every day. She loves blackberries and strawberries. She'll eat blueberries, but maybe the size, maybe because they're smaller. She likes strawberries and blackberries. She's been getting blackberries lately because she's had some problems with retained scoots, and there are, things in the blackberries that can help her shed those scoots if she'll spend adequate time under her UVB lamp. Birds are the same, I think, because in the wild they can't eat the same stuff all the time. They eat seasonally. Yeah. And then Lee says, as do I, have more friends online and don't really socialize much anymore aside from the odd family meal out. Yeah. And I'm not complaining about that because although, again, I consider myself a people person, and for most of my adult life I've been comfortable in front of people and, talking, and I have been relatively outgoing. As a little girl, that wasn't the case. I was very introverted and a bookworm and a science and math nerd, and just barefoot outside climbing trees and playing in creeks and stuff, more than you would probably imagine when you see me now, where I kind of need people to feel like I have some place in the world, but I don't necessarily miss socializing. I don't necessarily miss that. Every now and then, so the big shindigs for us, every now and then there will be some General Motors thing where we kind of have to get dressed up and go out somewhere. And that's kind of nice. But for me, then I go and I don't know anyone. I mean, I might know a couple of people that Richard works with that I've met at previous shindigs, but I go and there's, 200 people that I don't even know them. And I just go because there's live music or there's food or there's margaritas or whatever. And so it's still fun to get out and to actually put on some makeup and wear something that I don't get to wear every day. That's part of what this stream does for me. I feel like I'm going out. I'm going to go out and hang out with friends, and I, fix myself up a little bit so that I just feel a little better about my presentation. But let's move this now and get back to the wheel. Oh, I can just do this? Yeah. All right, let's close that. We're going to do one more wheel, and then we're going to look at our honorable mentions for the TV shows that weren't included in any of the videos in the series that just aired. I still haven't fixed that center thing, and I hate that it's wobbly. Oh, not games and trivia again. I'm going to take that off. I'm going to remove that this time. All right, we're going to remove that, and we're going to spin to get our last spin. Oh, well, I don't really want to do Strange But True again, but we've got this thing, so we'll do this. Forgotten Moments, and I consider this a Strange But True and a Did You Know and a History's Mysteries all in one thing. So I don't want to use them all up today, but we'll do these first three. Okay, so the number 3 is The Time America Invaded Canada and Lost, and that happened in 1812. Believing an easy victory, the U.S. invaded Canada, hoping to stop British trade restrictions and end the forced enlistment of American sailors. The invasion resulted in a string of failures, including an officer disappearing with attack boat oars and American troops accidentally firing on each other in the dark. But you know what? Whose decision was it to do that? Do you think men decided to do that, or do you think women decided to do that? Sorry, I'm just egging y'all on there. Okay, so that's all we're going to do for the wheel. But now I need to open, I'm going to open my playlist that's got these honorable mention. Oh, I didn't have to do that. Why am I doing that? I'm adding steps that I don't need to add in all my free time, in all your free time. Let's see, I'm going to have to make it bigger to get to my videos. Oh, I guess I could have just gone to my channel to go to my playlists. Well, maybe that's faster. Except I always have to... Okay, good. All right, playlists. So I had all of this open before we got started with the stream today. This stream, because it was open and ready to go for the stream that didn't work. So these, again, are... intros. These are the TV show intros. Now, where did my comments go? I need them back. I'm going to move them back over here. for now. I might put them back there after a while. These are the, I don't know where that's going to need to be to have the video lined up right. These are intros to shows that they were like on my master list, but at some point I just kind of had to whittle some things out. There are still a couple that I want to at least mention that, again, I can't show the intro or play the music or anything from the show because of some strict copyright issues. And in response to my question about who decided to go invade Canada, Erica says a man, unless a Canadian messed with a mama's baby. Right? That's true. Maybe we don't know the backstory. We don't know the backstory. And Jerry says meetups are so much fun. You see everyone you chat with on YouTube. Yeah, one day, I dream of going to 10 Killer or what's the Pines? Out by Lake of the Pines. There's been a meetup there a couple times, which is not far from me, but it is that hard to get away from home. I mean, I know I could just not schedule boarders, but that's kind of how I'm earning money to help pay our bills. So, and Erica was also tomboyish in nature and a nerdy bookworm. My kindred spirit, does that not explain why I love you and you are a friend of mine, even in just a virtual sense? And Lee says he basically lived in the forest as a kid and was never happy to go home. Oh, yeah, outside, y'all. If I could, in fact, because I had a very unpleasant, that's a euphemism. I had a very abusive childhood. And I think that's probably a big factor in why I loved being outside and being in nature and being around animals, because then it meant I was not in my house living through the things that I had to live through if I was in my house. So Lee says basically lived in the forest as a kid and was never happy to go home. Yeah. I want to do a stream sometime just trying to connect some dots about, who I am now, where did it come from, and how did the things that I remember from my childhood, how did those ultimately play a part in the personality I have now, the preferences I have now, the opinions that I have now, because I think it really is all connected. I think you can, overcome some things and learn new behaviors and expand your horizons and your preferences and opinions, but a lot of things they're just always back there in the background, and they still have an influence even if we don't overtly act on them. That's my take on it. Okay, so the Butlers are going to go to the meetup again this year. All right, we're going to see. I mean, there's a cruise. There's even a YouTuber's cruise happening this year that as soon as I heard about it, I thought, oh, that is a fantasy. But I can't, I could swing driving to East Texas for the day and then coming back. But I could not, I couldn't make it happen to be gone for a week or 10 days or whatever. I just couldn't do it. We're not in a position for that. Can't afford it, and I don't have the time for it. So here Erica says, let's see. Lee said, I'm unlikely to know what the shows you're about to share are unless they made it here in the UK. Some of these, maybe you'll remember. Now, there were some, I think, in a video or two that already played starting Saturday that I think were like worldwide shows. So I'll be interested if you get time to watch those to let me know if any of those were shows that you said, oh yeah, I watched that show, or I've seen that show, or it's funny because now it's UK shows that I like now. Like my favorite, like I love the British crime stuff. I love that now. So, but Erica is inviting you to go on and do a little compilation of UK shows from your childhood or whatever. That would be fun for me. Okay. All right, the Butlers are going on that cruise. I'll just have to live vicariously through the videos and stuff that I know you're going to share with us. So let's watch these. This first one, you can probably already see the title. There was a movie. I think this was a movie first. In fact, there are a couple of these that were movies before they turned into TV shows, but they were favorites of mine. Again, I had to just make some cuts somewhere so that I didn't have, such long videos that nobody would really watch them all. So this first one is The Ghost and Mrs. Muir. before I started, does anyone remember that show? Did anyone watch that show? Let's watch this trailer. And once I start it, let me know for sure that you can hear the audio. I'm going to remember to mute my mic. It looks like that one had the outro too. I just wanted to play the intro. So, do you remember that show? Because I remember the movie too. And Lee says, Erica, there are many shows I used to love before all the message crap shoved down our... Yes. Again, and it's just stupid. It's just stupid. Maybe that's why I like crime stuff. Because at least most of the crime shows that I watch, again, I love the British crime shows. British crime shows rely so beautifully on the actual story of the crime and who committed it and who that person is and what led up to it. And then they give you closure, and it's not about special effects and gratuitous sex and... it's about the story. It's like you want to know the story. You want to learn the story. You want to see who did it. I'm not saying that there aren't American shows that have been like that, but in my experience now, because I've watched a lot of British crime shows in the last 10 years, I have some that I've watched over and over. I think I've watched Midsummer Murders straight through like 3 times, and they're like on season 22 now. I mean, there's only like 6 or 8 episodes in a season, but I love it. It's art, and it's satisfying. And the characters are believable. They're not always like beautiful. They don't have to be bombshell people. That was a big thing here in the 70s. I just think back now. There was one show, it didn't make my list, and I liked watching it. It was the William Shatner show. He was a police officer. And I just feel like every person on that show was like, beauty queen. I don't know what I'm getting at, but I totally agree, Lee. Can we not just do movies and TV shows that are about the stories and the characters, and it doesn't have to be some woke... Oh, there. I'm not even going to go there. I know you know what I'm talking about because you're the one that made the comment. All right, so that was The Ghost and Mrs. Muir. Again, I'm going to remember to mute my mic. And let's see what we have next.
The Fugitive. A QM production, starring David Jansen as The Fugitive, with guest stars Patricia Crowley, Madeline Sherwood, Arch Johnson, Gina Gillespie. Tonight's episode, The Witch.
Okay, so The Fugitive. Do you guys remember that? Do you remember that show? And I see your comment, Connie. Yes, okay, that William Shatner cop show was T.J. Hooker. And then didn't it have, was it Heather Locklear? Was Heather Locklear the female police officer in that one? Because she was in some cop show. And again, she's beautiful. But I think even as a kid, like I would watch that and think, okay, if let's say she's really out and she's doing a police job. I mean, I've seen some really beautiful police officers, some female police officers. I'm not saying they're not allowed to be beautiful, but it's like when you watch a show and, the woman's just waking up in the morning and she looks like this with all her makeup, and I'm thinking, wait. So that's not as common now as it was back then. Hey, Joe, how are you? Thanks for being here today. Yeah, Magnum PI, but it was in the 80s, so I stopped my shows. I only did 60s and 70s. And I haven't watched any of the new Magnum PI. They rebooted that, and I didn't watch any of that partly because I loved the old original too much. Same thing happened with Hawaii Five-0, which I realize now I forgot to put on my list. I liked that show. And they rebooted that, and I watched the first couple of seasons of it. And it had Hugo from Lost on it, and it had Jen. It had a couple people from Lost on it, and it started shortly after Lost ended, so I remember watching it because they were going to be on it initially. But, okay, that's neither here nor there also. So, The Fugitive. I liked that show. I liked that movie. That movie was remade, if I remember right, and Tommy Lee Jones played the U.S. Marshal or whatever the law enforcement guy was that eventually catches the fugitive. But again, great story. It was so dependent on the story. It wasn't about CGI and special effects. Maybe that's part of why I love some of this old stuff, because we didn't even have that. You had to use your imagination, and the people that produced them had to actually create something. They couldn't just tell the computer, what the scene needed to look like and let it do it for us. Nothing against that either. I love Star Wars and some of that stuff that's got all the wonderful computer stuff in it, but some of my old favorites from my childhood, they didn't have that, and that was part of the appeal. Okay, so let's see what we got next. I think you may have seen a little part of it already. Oh, I loved this show because well, I'll let you guess which one of these guys was my favorite. Oh, I don't know if they show his picture. I think it's all animated, but I loved one of these characters. I thought he was so cute. Oops. Yes, he was Robert. So there's another Robert that I get his last name mixed up that was on that show Cannon. I liked that too. I didn't put it on my list. His name was Robert something. So yeah, Robert Conrad. Although I can remember because I was a very nerdy, bookwormish girl, and the Artemis character that Ross Martin played on Wild Wild West was very appealing to me because he was the brainy guy. He was the one that could figure out the puzzles and the problems and was just super smart, and that was really appealing to me. But just cute-wise, I just thought Robert Conrad was so cute. Does anybody else remember watching Wild Wild West? Again, that was made into a movie. I haven't seen it. It had Will Smith in it. I'm not sure how that worked or which one he was. Okay, so let's see what's coming up next. Mr. B. Hazel used to call the dad Mr. B. I loved that show. That's funny because when I'm thinking of some of the other shows, most of the other shows that were on the videos, a lot of westerns, a lot of animal related stuff. This one's a little lighter hearted. And I'm sure some of you remember Hazel. And it moved to color. So the first couple seasons I think were in black and white and then it moved to color. But I remember watching the whole series. I didn't put down what years it was. These are all 60s and 70s shows. So some of them I may have watched, when they were first airing, the first airing. But some of them would have just been years later. I make mention of this, and I've talked about it before, that we didn't have a TV till I was about 8 years old. So some of them I couldn't have watched unless we were someplace else where there was a TV. But then others, even after they went off the air, then they went into reruns. They were in syndication. So as soon as we got a TV, then I would have seen some of these that maybe had been playing before we got a TV. Does that make sense? So Hazel, I liked that one. Okay, Will Smith was in the new remake. Anyway, so I'm hoping some of these are new to you because that was what I wanted to do more. I didn't want to pick ones that everybody's heard of, that everybody watched, that you can ask anyone even outside of the U.S. and they would know the show. I wanted it to be shows that were more like, oh, I've never heard of that show, or wow, I remember that show, but I haven't thought about it in a long time. That's what I was going for. But let's see what we got next. Oh, maybe it's going to, okay. What's this? Wait. Oh, I don't want that. Let's do this. You probably saw what it was already.
Hi, welcome to our show.
Oh, pause. Nope. Oh,
Hi.
where's the pause button? Okay. No, I don't want to do that one yet. Oh, I forgot to mute it that time. Oh, and I don't want to do that either. I want to run that back. I don't want that right there. Okay, I don't even know how. I just put some icon on my desktop, and I don't know how I did it. My three sons. I don't know what this is. Oh, okay. My three sons. You guys remember that? And Fred McMurray, I mean, he was very popular at the time. So I've seen him in movies. I don't remember if I've seen him in other TV shows, but I'm sure he did other TV shows. Okay. Yeah, and I know you probably can still hear it, but sometimes there's a problem with an echo if there's audio playing through the computer, because it's coming to you directly from my computer, but then it's also coming to you through my microphone. So I have to try and remember. Maybe it shouldn't work like that, but I feel like that happens. So I try to remember if I'm going to play something on the computer that you need to hear, that I don't want you to also hear it through the microphone. So here's some other shout outs, or here's Erica's got some on her list. Hazel, Leave It to Beaver, Father Knows Best, Dennis the Menace, Family Affair were all similar. Yes, Family Affair is in one of the videos that I already did. But again, Leave It to Beaver, then I thought that's probably really popular, right? Father Knows Best, probably really popular because Robert Young, I know, was just really popular. But Hazel, I thought, might be kind of new for some people. And then here, Lee's got a list. Skippy the Bush Kangaroo, Flipper. Yeah, Flipper. Okay, so Flipper was a favorite of mine, but who hasn't heard of Flipper, right? So I didn't include it. The Beachcombers, the Rockford Files, yes. Oh, Kojak. Okay, so Kojak's going to get an honorable mention, but it's not one I could play. It was even, I had downloaded the intro, but, I did think ahead to upload my master video with all the intros to YouTube before I did the narration for it, because I knew at least some of them were going to, cause me trouble. And Kojak would have been one that would have, blocked my video, believe it or not. Let's see. Skippy, Flipper. Kojak, some of what you recall. Okay. Yeah, so there were some American shows that made it across the pond and you guys got to watch. Oh yeah, Lassie's in the very first video. I think the one that played on Saturday last week. It's like the third one in, and I have time, or what are those called? Chapters. I did go back in on all of those videos and put the chapters in, so you can go to you don't even have to go to the description of the video when you're playing. So can you see when you're playing this? I'm sure you know, when you're playing a video on YouTube and someone has added chapters, you can just hold your cursor over the little, play bar here, and it'll pop up a little thing that'll say, like it might say intro right here at the beginning, and then it'll say, here's the problem we're solving, and then it'll say, here's the first solution, and then it'll say, here's the best solution. If you didn't know that, that's what the little segmented things will sometimes mean when you're watching a YouTube video. But it also means you can go into the description for the video. So beneath this video here where you see how long ago it was uploaded and whatever the channel says, thank you for visiting the channel, or whatever's in my descriptions, then you can also see where the times and the names of the segments have been added to the description, because that's how they get into the video. If you didn't know that, there's something new. Oh, Quincy's on my honorable mentions list. I just can't play it. I can't play it. Yeah, Rockford Files, my mom liked that too. I mean, I liked that too. Was it Suzanne Plachette? Was it his wife, Suzanne Plachette? Rockford Files. Right? Was it? Because I liked her too, whichever show that was she was in. Okay, Lassie. Columbo. Yep. I don't remember when that was on. I do have a fondness for any of the detective mystery, drama, crime kind of a shows. And Westerns. There were just a lot of Westerns on TV, I think, when I was a little girl. That's why there are so many on my list. All right, so let's see what this one. This one should be pretty obscure for a lot of you. And I think when I watched it because it starred Parker Stevenson, and he was a Hardy Boy, if you remember that. Parker Stevenson and Sean Cassidy were Hardy Boys back on the old Nancy Drew Hardy Boys Mysteries series days in the 70s, which, again, I did not put on my list because I figure everybody knows about that. Heart to Heart. Oh, Robert Wagner, yes, and Stephanie Powers. Yeah, I love that show too. Let's see. So let's look at this one. There's the problem with muting. I have to remember to unmute myself. I was going to say that sneak peek you just got of the last one on the list. Oh, I don't know if it's the last one on the list now. I don't remember. No, it's not. There's a couple more on the list. But you got a little sneak peek of the one that's coming up next. Did anybody get anything? Could anybody guess anything from that little snippet that you got before I paused it and ran it back? Oh, yeah, Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew. So some of the earliest books I can remember really enjoying reading, which was probably around the third grade for me that I discovered Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys. And I read Nancy Drew first. I don't remember even if I read all of the Hardy Boys books, but I read every Nancy Drew book that came out. And then when the show came out, and who didn't love Sean Cassidy? I don't know if that's still on YouTube or not, but I watched all of that, all of the Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew on YouTube sometime within the last 2 or 3 years. I'm sure. Was it Lee that mentioned Tubi TV? I think, was it Tubi? Oh, you said Pluto. So Pluto TV has a lot of great old classics, but Tubi TV has some stuff you can't find anywhere else. So just be aware of that. If you've been looking for an old show that you liked to watch and you can't find, it's not on Amazon and it's not on Netflix and it's not on, I don't know, whatever the other big ones might be, check out Tubi TV, Tubi TV. It's free, and I don't know if there's paid levels or not, but I've been really pleased with some of the old movies and old TV shows that you can find on Tubi TV. But yeah, Pluto TV. So Pluto TV, when I just want something on in the background, I'm not like really watching anything, it's on Pluto TV. Richard loves to watch the Andy Griffith Show. I love to watch I Love Lucy. But they have classic shows. So there's like a classic TV section, and then there's channels that just show 24/7. They just show the old shows from whatever the series is you're looking for. Let me see. Connie remembers Hardy Boys. Moonlighting. Yeah, so if you don't know about Moonlighting, again, I think that was later. I think that was 80s, maybe 90s even. That's where I first met Bruce Willis. So if you guys have never watched Moonlighting, check that out. Erica read all the Walter Farley and Marguerite Henry books. So Jerry didn't know what that last one was. Okay, so yeah, Probe. It was called Probe. And the guy, like the lead guy, the Parker Stevenson character, he's like this brilliant, eccentric person. I haven't seen it like since it was on air first time. I don't know that it's been in reruns for me to watch it. And I don't think he solved crimes. Maybe he solved crimes. It was a very different kind of a show. And again, I was just a big Parker Stevenson fan because of the Hardy Boys. He is married now, a little tidbit, to a professional chef. She has a channel on YouTube. I cannot remember her name. And he's in a lot of her videos. The today 2025 Parker Stevenson, they seem to just have a very sweet, relaxed relationship. She'll be on the show, teaching you how to cook something, and they talk about things. They talk about the food. They talk about stories of their time together, and it's really very different and very refreshing. And I don't remember how in the world I came across it. It's been a couple years ago, I think, that I stumbled on it. And so it's not something I watch a lot, because I don't watch a lot of cooking shows. I watch a lot of homestead channels that teach me how to cook things, but I don't necessarily watch a lot of cooking shows. But there's just a little Parker Stevenson connection to 2025 if you were interested in it. Yeah. Okay, so let's get to our next one. But again, nobody had any guesses from the little tiny snippet of this one that played before I paused it and ran it back? Let's see. You'll know pretty quick.
Streets of San Francisco, a Quinn Martin production. Starring Carl Malden. Also starring Michael Douglas. With guest stars Nicholas Colasanto, Victor French, Anthony Caruso, Harry Rhodes. Tonight's episode, Death Watch.
Here you got another little sneak peek of the one coming up next. So, I know the Streets of San Francisco might be not so much on the forgotten or obscure list, but it's not one that I don't think it's in reruns anywhere anymore. So, I wanted to include that one because it is one that I enjoyed watching a lot. I really liked Michael. Oh my gosh, Michael what? Why can I not remember? Douglas. Duh. Really liked Michael Douglas in that show. And Carl Malden was great in everything he did. So let's see what we got in the comments here. At anyone auditioned, it said that Bruce walked through. Oh, so I guess we're talking about moonlighting because that was how Bruce Willis got his start. It said that Bruce walked through the queue and onto the set, then started directing the crew of a show. When someone realized he introduced himself saying he was there for an audition, but he started directing the crew, directing people. And he had all his hair then. He had all his hair back then, unless it was already a toupee or something. And Erica's parents watched it, half paid attention, but I liked reading better than TV. Saw it in reruns last year. Connie saw it in reruns last year. Yeah, I figured you meant like a line, like in the queue, like the lining up to get in for the audition. Okay, so again, you got a little sneak peek, but let's see if you know what this one is. Oh, I'm going to mute myself first. Yes, Battlestar Galactica. So the first thing I think of when I think of Battlestar Galactica is that my youngest little brother was born. I left home at 17, but my youngest little brother had just pretty much started talking, I think, around the time Battlestar Galactica came out. And so he couldn't say things right, and he called that show Bassa Wakawa. And he would be so excited when the show would come on because I was excited about that show. My sister loved that show. And there was a remake of that show in the early 2000s, if you haven't seen it, that was just as wonderful. I was very annoyed with the remake at first because Starbuck, played by Dirk Benedict in the original that we just saw the trailer for, that role was given to Katie Sackhoff, a very female Katie Sackhoff. She was amazing. She was amazing. I remember thinking, okay, that's the most brilliant decision anyone ever made. I'm a huge Katie Sackhoff fan to this day. She's in that show Longmire. That's the most recent thing I know of that she's done as far as a series. I just really like her. And Tricia Helfer is in the remake of Battlestar Galactica. And I like her too. I think they're real life friends, and so I've seen them do some stuff on YouTube together, and they just seem like they would be really fun to hang around with. But yeah, the old classic Battlestar Galactica, man, that is near my favorites list. But I wondered if it would be kind of new to some people because there was the remake, and if you say Battlestar Galactica, I wonder if more people would automatically think of that one and not even remember that there was one in the 70s. It only ran for a couple of seasons, but golly, everyone on that show, I just loved every character on that show. I loved every episode of that show. And for the time, the special effects were amazing. It was a great show. So if you don't know about that, check that out. Yeah, I love Longmire. I love that. Oh my gosh, is it Robert Taylor, Richard Taylor? What's the sheriff's name? His character name? Walt? Is it Walt something? It's just lots of great acting and characters in Longmire. And Katie Sackhoff is a great member of the cast on that show too. But let's see what we got next. I know science fiction is not everybody's thing, but I'm interested to share with you that there's not as much science fiction on my list. Well, maybe because at the time, again, there were a lot of westerns when I was a kid. There aren't a lot of comedies on my list. That's funny. Walt. Okay, it was Walt something. Yeah. Let's see what we got next, though. Oh, this is the last one. Okay, so there were some honorable mentions. Let me move myself up here. Let me put myself back over here. And then I have a couple of screenshots. Let me see which ones. I didn't get a screenshot of Kojak because the video clip that I had used in, I'm looking on my computer for the screenshots of the ones I did get. The way, and if you watch the videos, maybe you'll understand what I'm talking about. I tried to find a part of the intro where I could superimpose the years that it ran and how many episodes over like the name screen, like Lassie. And then above it would say it ran from 54 to 74 for however many episodes. And I couldn't find that for Kojak. So when it finally said Kojak, it was right at the very end, and but I couldn't play it anyway because it was blocked. It would have blocked my video. But let me find the. Okay, so here's one. Oh, let me pull that up, and then we're gonna move that screen over there and share it somehow. Oh, I gotta move myself back over. Oh, that's not the one I wanted to move. This one. Do you guys, oops. Why is that up? Do you guys remember this show? I gotta get it sized so you can see it. Oh, wow. No, I don't want to edit it. How do I go back? I'm just gonna have to open it again. But it should be the size I need now. Here we go. Oh, I can't find a free spot to open it. Wow. It should not be this difficult for me to work the computer. Kolchak the Night Stalker. So I think that was a movie first. There may even be a couple of different movies. But this was a great combo show because a lot of times it involved some crime. But then it ends up that the crime is committed by, like a vampire or a werewolf character, some kind of supernatural being. And so Kolchak is the name of this reporter that kind of chases down these stories and uncovers the truth about them. I love Darren McGavin. Darren McGavin played Kolchak. I don't remember what his first name was on the show. But I love it. That was just a great combo show. Again, the writing was great. The actors were great. Oh, look, that can go there. But I think it's also one of the ones, I'd have to go back and look at what the copyright message was that I got. I think it was also one of the ones that I was not allowed to play. So I just had to find a picture online to show you, to talk about it. And that was in the 70s. I do see some shout outs for Quantum Leap. Oh my goodness, I loved Quantum Leap. I still love Scott Bakula. And Scott Bakula played a captain in one of the iterations of Star Trek that I don't think I've ever watched. I don't remember which one it was. Is it called Enterprise? I don't know why I haven't watched it, because I love Scott Bakula. But I love Scott Bakula because I loved that show. I loved the concept of that show. But again, it was so popular. I really wanted to try to do shows that maybe weren't as familiar to everyone, to either give you something to explore and check out because it was new to you, or because it had just been long enough ago that you didn't think about it. So I think this show probably falls into that category. Now, any of us that are horror fans and Dracula and werewolves and all that stuff probably are more familiar with and fond of Kolchak the Night Stalker, but it would appeal to a much broader audience than that. So I don't want you to think it's, like a horror show or something. That reminds me of another show that I wanted to put on the list. So again, we'll get to that. This was just the first one. Let me see. I have a picture of another one. Oh, here's this one for who said something about Quincy? Somebody mentioned Quincy. So yes, Quincy is on my list. Again, I love Jack Klugman. I loved this show. He's a medical examiner, and so, he does the autopsies and stuff on these bodies that are associated with crimes. It had a little bit of humor in it. It had a lot of medical technical stuff in it. And Jack Klugman, he's just got such a great persona and presence on screen, and he's very, very entertaining to watch. Okay, Lee says he was in Enterprise, but only as a random governor on a... Okay, so I wonder what I'm thinking of. That's a show that I remember seeing that Scott Bakula was in it. Carl Kolchak. Okay, that was his first name. I knew Connie would know that. So I'm going to have to look that up now and see what Scott Bakula shows I haven't watched. I watched a movie with him, and I can't remember the lady's name. It's a good movie. Oh, man. And he gets, I think, accused of murdering someone. He's from a family of, like, mafia people or something. And when his dad died, he, like, hid some, I don't know, some money or some secrets or whatever. And people automatically suspect Scott Bakula's character because it was his dad that was, like, the main mafia guy. Whatever. I'm really trying to just sum it up, although it's been a while since I've seen it. But he's just great. He's great in everything he does. He seems like a nice guy, and I love his work. So Quincy, yes, Quincy's on my list. Here comes another one. We'll see if you guys remember this. This is the best picture I could get. Anybody remember this show? That is, oh my gosh, what's his name? He played Bobby Ewing on Dallas. What is his name? That's who the guy is in this picture. Man from Atlantis. So there's this guy that's supposed to be from the ancient city of Atlantis, and he's got webbed fingers and everything, and I don't remember enough to know how he shows up on the scene or who finds him or, any of that. Archer in Enterprise was played by Scott. Okay, is that a regular character, Connie? Because for some reason I was thinking his character was like he was on every episode or he was a regular character on the show. So I may need to watch Enterprise just now that I know that Scott Bakula is for sure in it. So Man from Atlantis, oh my gosh, what is his name? He played Bobby Ewing in Dallas. He played in a show with Suzanne Summers, I think, and I think the show was called Step by Step. That was back like in maybe the 90s. Dang, what is his name? Oh my gosh. I got to open a browser window just to see. I'll pull it over here though. who played, because I don't remember his character name in Man from Atlantis. But so Man from Atlantis was kind of a sci-fi-ish show, so there were some scientists that wanted to know about him and figure out, why he was different. Again, he had webbed fingers and everything. I just feel bad that I can't remember his name. Patrick Duffy. So Patrick Duffy, and let me make sure I'm right about Dallas. I know he was on Dallas, but wasn't that his name, Bobby? Yes, Bobby Ewing. So Bobby Ewing, what you may remember about Bobby Ewing on Dallas, just some trivia for you, is that there was the whole controversy over one season. At the end of the season, Bobby Ewing, the character that Patrick Duffy played on Dallas, got shot while he was in the shower. Like he's dead. He gets killed at the end of the season. But then he comes back. And then it was just all a dream. And if I remember right, it's because there was so much backlash. Fans and viewers just really pitched a fit, and they had to figure out a way to bring Bobby Ewing back. So they then had to just say that, oh, okay, that whole last season was just a dream, or, at least the killing in the shower was just a dream. Yeah, it was just a dream. But Patrick Duffy, so this would have been before Patrick Duffy was Bobby Ewing on Dallas. Man from Atlantis. Do I have another picture here? I don't, but again, I had Kojak on the list. I had Peyton Place on the list. Now, I didn't watch Peyton Place, but my mother was a huge fan. And the only reason I cut it out of the, Who Shot JR? That was the whole, like it was everywhere. There were billboards. It was magazine covers. It was, other shows would reference it. Who Shot JR? It was a huge, huge thing. But then there was such an uproar about that character being killed off that they had to bring him back. That's a good old show, but again, that was after the 60s and 70s that I'm focusing on for these shows. And I don't remember what I was saying now. Oh, I can take this screen off now. Oh, so Peyton Place. I was talking about Peyton Place. Oops. My mother loved that show, so I watched it only because it was on, only because my mother loved it, but I don't remember much about it. And so when I was just trimming for time, I took it out of the show, but that was on there because I know it was popular at the time, but I'm going to bet a lot of people today don't know about that show, and I think it might have been a movie too. It was kind of soap opera-ish. There was another soap opera, if I remember right. I'm going to have to look this up. I think there was a movie called Love is a Many Splendored Thing, and I think there was a TV series called Love is a Many Splendored Thing. There's a song, too. Some of you may know that old song. Love is a many splendored thing. Anybody remember that song? I don't remember what. Wow. I may be getting it mixed up with another movie. But so all that because that only tied into Peyton Place. I can't remember what else I had to cut out of my. Video. But again, a lot of the stuff in the videos, I had to substitute the music or just show the picture like what I showed on the screen while I was talking about it because I couldn't play the music or show the video, an intro, any of the clips from the show. But I had a great time doing it. I hope you guys will watch it because it really is a kind of a trip down memory lane. And I know any of you that are, older than 50, we'll say, will be familiar with at least a good number of them. Some of them have gone on to, become kind of cult classics, even with people much younger. The one that ends the whole series, I'm not going to tell you what it is. So the premiere that aired on Tuesday this week on my channel, is that right? I think I ended it with like one that... I kind of cheated because it's definitely not one that anybody would go, oh, I've never heard of that show. But it was such a favorite of mine. And, as I was looking into more and more of these shows, and I showed them in the videos, I show them in the order of what year they started. So even though some of the shows ran for a long time, and another show might have come and gone in between when the long time show started and then ended, I just based it, the order of it is based on what year was the first year that the show started. So it ends up being, like one of the last shows. If it's not the very last show of that episode 4 in my series, then it's in that video. And you'll know what I'm talking about when you watch it. So Jerry just says he doesn't watch shows. I don't watch a lot of shows now. So, like a huge X-Files fan, and so never miss that. That's another series that I have watched straight through. I bet I've watched that through 10 times. That's probably being conservative to say I've watched it through 10 times. I don't like the old, the more recent seasons as much as I liked like the first 3 or 4 seasons. But I still love the show. That's my. It's the combination of all the things I love. It's sci-fi and monsters and outer space and crime and law enforcement, and it's everything all mixed up into one thing. So it just pushed all my buttons in the best way. And then I love like old Twilight Zone. Didn't include it. I've also watched that through at least a half a dozen times. My sweet story about Twilight Zone, I think it's a sweet story. Our grandcat Oreo came to live with us in 2010 when my youngest daughter married her Marine husband, our son-in-law JT, and they moved back out to California. So when she was still living here, she got this cat. She and my oldest son Ty had an apartment together, and he had a dog and she had the cat. And then when she got married, they were going to move back out to California to the base. Camp Pendleton. They lived at Camp Pendleton, and they didn't want the cat to have to make that long trip, and there weren't any other animals. He had grown up with the dog, my son Ty's dog, and they were best friends, and we had 2 cats at the time because we lived in an apartment in Valley Ranch, and we just had the 2 cats, and he'd been over lots of times. Stacy brought him every time she would come to visit. Oreo came over, so he knew the cats, he knew us, and so we kept him. Well, he developed kidney disease back in, he was diagnosed in March of 2016, and initially the doctors only gave him like 3 or 4 months to live, but they taught me how to do subcutaneous fluids where you have the IV bag with the lactated ringers, like the saline stuff in it, and you have to stick this big needle just under their skin, and then you just have to let the bag, like you give them fluids that way. And again, he was only supposed to have lived like 3 or 4 months, but, I thought, okay, if we can get 3 or 4 months with him, then I'll do whatever I have to do. Well, he lived like another year and a half. He died in November of 2017. So I'm a big believer in sub-Q fluids. But I remember I was watching Twilight Zone all the way through during that last couple of months that he was with us, and I remember he would sit on the couch with me at night. Everybody was asleep. That's my favorite time to watch something or read something. And he would sit beside me on the couch, and I remember saying to him many, many times, I just want you to hold on long enough to watch all of Twilight Zone with me. Will you stay with me long enough to watch all of Twilight Zone with me? And he missed all but like the last 2 episodes before he crossed over. So there's a weird melancholy for me now associated with the Twilight Zone, where it used to just only be about, oh, I love that show and the stories were so awesome and Rod Serling is so awesome. But so that show is also a favorite, but everybody knows that. Who doesn't know that show? I'm sure that was in the UK too, right, Lee? And then let's see, get caught up on some chat. Rockford Files, yep, I loved that. I only watch things from the past. Yeah, am I watching anything? Well, again, reality TV. I just finished season 3 of the UK Traders series. I'm really tickled at who won that one. So I watch a handful of shows like that. At least most recently, as far as a new show, that's what I've watched. Now, I did watch, there's only been 1 season so far. I don't know if it's coming back or not. It's called Teacup. And I can't remember whose show it is now. But it's got the girl in it that was, now I never watched Chuck. Maybe you remember that show Chuck from back in the 2000s or 2010s or whatever, that had Zachary Levi in it and Yvonne Strahinsky, some name like that. She was in that show, and Ty loved that show, and so there would be times that we would be visiting with him, and that show would be on. So I had seen it, but it just wasn't a show I watched. And she's in this teacup show, and I can't figure out exactly what it's about now, but it's sci-fi. It's some kind of sci-fi and some horror elements in it for sure, but it's definitely one that, you want to figure out what is going on. It's like, oh my gosh, what is going on? So I'm anxious to see if that's going to come back. So I watched the first season of that aired like at the beginning of the year. And I've seen most of the episodes, at least of the first season of a new show. These are on Peacock. I'm watching these on Peacock, so these are NBC shows. And I'm watching or have watched most of the episodes, I think, of a show called Found. And that's a pretty good show. But is there anything else current that I'm watching? I don't think so. I mean, we don't go to the movies. We don't have TV. We don't have cable, so everything we watch has to be through a streaming service. Now, we have one of those antennas that we can get local networks here if, there's something on that we need to watch that for. But it really only works with the TV on the back porch, only because that antenna thing, it's one of those flat, like a rectangular thing, I don't know how it works, has to be positioned right, I guess, where there's not anything blocking it. And the cord is not long enough to reach into the house. So Richard just uses that to watch some stuff out on the back porch every now and then. Reality TV is kind of cheap and to me fairly pointless. Yeah, it's like, it's almost soap opera-ish. And I'm not much a fan, or as much a fan, of a lot of the U.S. reality TV because they seem to just feel compelled to have the same reality TV stars on all the shows. Like, it's not everyday people. A lot of the shows started out, it's just everyday people. They send in an audition tape or send in an application or whatever they had to do to get a chance to be on the show. And then it's just everyday people. Now it's people that they've been on, 6 seasons of Big Brother, 2 seasons of Amazing Race. I love Amazing Race. I will be watching Amazing Race because the new season has started, so I know there's at least 3 or 4 episodes I can watch. And I watch Amazing Race because I just dream of being on that show. I dream of going to the places that they visit. I don't know if I could cut it with some of the challenges they do. I know that. I'm a realist, but still love it, and I love to watch it. And they have had their seasons where they'll have celebrities, like reality TV celebrities and stuff that get on the show. But it's not every person on the show. And the challenges are still, whether you're a famous YouTuber or you've been on Big Brother 3 times or whatever, you still have to be able to carry that 50-pound barrel up the stairs in Italy, that's full of grapes or wine or whatever. You still have to be able to do that. So it seems to take away some of the celebrity advantages that might exist when these people are on some of the other shows. Let's see. And Erica says, when I was home alone on school days, maybe that's when you watch reality TV. I must have missed the first part of that. Oh, so Erica says Scott Bakula has an incredible voice, like a singing voice. Does he sing? Did I not know that? Did I not know that? Okay. And reality without reality. Yeah. I know a lot of those shows, they're scripted, they're rehearsed, or at least ahead of time they give them like an outline and they say, okay, this is going to happen and we want you to do this or say something like this. I know that. But it's like it's so not everyday now. Some of it makes it a little bit entertaining. Never heard of Teacup. Yeah. Again, if you like horror and sci-fi, because I can tell that's already where this is going. If you remember the old show, Stephen King had a book or a story, whatever, turned into a TV show called Under the Dome. It almost makes me think of that. So there's a supernatural element or there's some sort of not normal, earthly, everyday thing that's happening to these people. And that's what Teacup is so far. Okay, and then Bear Grylls staying up at 4 and 5 star hotels. Yeah. Yeah, there's, again, something to be said for celebrity. Okay, I don't see anything else that I missed in the chat. If I did miss it, I'm sorry. Let me thank those of you again. Okay, first thanks are to those of you that popped on when I started the stream around 2 o'clock and had so many problems that I had to end it. And some of you hung around that whole time until the stream was ended, and then you waited for me to come in and start the stream again, and you came back. That's huge. That's amazing. So thank you to both of those sets of people, and for the ones that maybe missed that little 15 minutes of nonsense that my computer or OBS was doing that made me have to end the first attempt at a stream today. Thanks for coming in then when I got it started back up and everything was working. So today's lesson is about perseverance, and when you what is that? Fall off the horse and get back on the horse, whatever, one of those kind of things. Oh, we didn't do our quote of the day today. It didn't come up on the wheel. So we'll do more wheel stuff. I think, so I haven't decided yet, but I want to experiment and try a theme again. Today made sense to do like an honorable mentions for these shows because I just finished that big long series of premieres. But I want to do a theme next week on a show. And I'll give you guys the sneak peek. The things, okay, let me get my phone because I have my list of things that I want to kind of consider doing for a live stream. Just for something different because, I want to keep it interesting for me too so that it's always still fun for me to do it. I don't want to do the same thing over and over. Excuse me. Let me find my list. Okay, so I'm not going to give you, so like one of them I have a name for what the stream will be, and I'm not going to say it because I don't want some other YouTuber out there to steal my name. Maybe it's already been used somewhere. It just made sense to me. But I want to cover because I have learned, this has gone on for a long time, but just in the last couple of months, I've learned about a couple of different scam artists who faked cancer to raise money and get recognition and, be invited to speak at big events, and they got jobs and opportunities because of it, and then it turned out it was all lies. I don't even know. There's one of those examples of you can't make this stuff up, and truth is stranger than fiction. So I've got a couple of people already in mind for that list to choose from. So it's not like I'm going to talk for 2 hours about the one thing. I'm not doing a documentary about it, but I'm going to see if I can come up with another couple of names so that we can have 3 or 4, people who have done that. That's more common than you think, and it's so sickening to me that I want to talk about it, for no other reason than I want people to start being a little more critical when they're hearing some of these stories. And for sure, before you make contributions, some of these people, again, made a killing. Now, I know some of them had to give the money back, too, although this one person, she was ordered in court to give back, however many millions of dollars she's made. She hasn't done it yet. Anyway, so there's that. And then I want to do another live stream kind of along the lines of the old favorite stuff and talk about like old advertisements, old commercials and stuff that, so this won't necessarily just be from my childhood, but old commercials that they were funny or they were weird or they didn't last very long or there was a controversy about it or something like that. So I don't have a whole lot of specifics on my list yet, but I will be in the process of, collecting clips and jingles and stuff like that, so we can do that. So feel free to sound off if you think those don't sound like fun. Let me know because I don't want to waste anyone's time. But I love researching things and I love thinking back on stuff that I haven't considered in a while. And I know that a lot of stuff that I know or know about or remember or used to watch or listen to, there will be some people that have never heard of it. And I know I love it when I watch a video or go to someone's live stream and they mention something that I've never heard of. I just like knowing that the world always offers us opportunities to expand our experiences and, our memories by stumbling upon stuff that's new to us. So that's a big part of what I enjoy sharing with you in my live streams. I love thinking that maybe something I said, somebody goes, I had never heard that before. I never knew that before. I'm going to have to look that up, or I'm going to have to try that. Because there will also be, that's another one on my list, is like health and medical stuff. I know I shared with you about using maple syrup, pure maple syrup, in place of sugar. I don't usually just drink my coffee black, but every now and then and like today I put some maple syrup in my coffee because I'm not going to eat, so we can have plenty of room for the Mexican food later. And so that it feels like it gives it a little more substance than just coffee. This whole thing is still full, y'all. I think I've taken 2 sips out of it all day long. But this is my, is it Traverse? Does Chevy make a Traverse? The Chevy Traverse, brought to you by General Motors. Richard gets to bring home this kind of, I don't know if can you see it? It's just a Yeti, but it's a GM promotional thing. So he comes home lots of times with stuff that we can use around the house. So this really does keep my coffee hot all day, so at least I won't have to drink cold coffee. Actors' hidden talents. Let me add it to the list. I think that would be so fun. Okay. Oh my gosh, thank you for that. And you are all always welcome to send me a message, or for those of you that have my phone number, call me or text me or something and say, hey, here's an idea for a show. And I mean, when I do the show, then I'm going to be thrilled to say, my friend Erica suggested this one, and it was great fun. So actors' hidden talents. Oh, that will be fun to research. Yes. That's awesome. Thank you for that, Erica. Yeah, I'll be excited to see if anyone else can help me dream up some stuff. So that's what I want to do. And back in the day when I was doing regular live streams, when I stopped interviewing people, then it turned into, like, I had a stream one time about optical illusions, like famous optical illusions or award-winning optical illusions. And then I did a stream on I think I called it Lost in Translation. So it's funny translations of, like, the directions on how to build something, or the directions on how to cook something, translated from Chinese or whatever into English. And it's really weird. There's really a lot that's lost in the translation. So I did a series of things that were like that, where I really did devote the stream kind of to a topic, a single topic, and not just the wheel. I think we always did the did you knows. I like those, so I'll still try to sprinkle that kind of stuff in here and there. But I think it'll be fun. It'll just give me more to look forward to when I have to do a little research and put some things together for the show, instead of feeling like I wing it a little more, which that's okay too. So be watching for whatever next week's show is going to be about. I haven't set that stream up or created that thumbnail yet, because I haven't for sure settled yet on which of my ideas I want to do, and that might be dependent upon how much stuff can I find to get ready. So if I can find more stuff for one of them than the other in time to do the show, that's what you're going to see. So I hope you will join me again next Friday, 2 o'clock, same bat time, same bat channel. Please watch yesterday's video. I don't know if you ever might need to get to your cooling fan inside your desktop computer, but I walk you through how I did it. And then check out my Forgotten Favorites series. Let's see. Some of the hidden talents are hilarious. I know I'm going to find some stuff that's really fun. Thank you again. Thank you to my live crew here watching. I love you all. I hope you have great weather where you are. I hope you're going to have good dinner wherever you are, because I know I am. And thanks to those that I haven't seen in a while. Yeah, I'm happy to be getting back to live streaming. So it was really a treat to see Jerry here today, because he's been such a great source of encouragement to me for a long, long time. And I am just loving now having some time to spend with you guys live. Even if it's not in person, it feels more like a real connection when we can do this live together. So take care, be safe, be happy, be well, and I will see you next Friday. Bye, friends. I love you. Bye.